In the afternoons of Murdad, fire rains from the sky. That day was also a Murdad Friday, and I was going to the cinema with Agajan, dear Mr. Father. Everywhere was quiet and deserted. A shop was open here and there, its owner dozing behind the counter. We passed through several alleys to reach the square behind our house. Agajan had 2 rules for going to the cinema for my sake: arriving before the start of the first show and leaving after the last program, and buying candy. And the best candies in town were made by the confectionery in this square. Inside the shop, it was cool, clean, and filled with the scent of candy. Agajan was busy chatting and buying candies when, through the window, I caught sight of a passenger bus that had just arrived. At that time of the day, naturally, there were few passengers. Despite the air-conditioned buses, people preferred to travel at night, unless they were in a particular hurry. When the bus door opened, I witnessed a rare scene I will never forget. Asieh, our neighbor's daughter, who had married a few weeks ago and left the city, stepped down in her long white wedding dress. The few people in the square snapped out of their slumber, and silence descended on the confectionery. You could only hear the sounds of a few flies and the fan. Agajan took the candy bags, said goodbye, pulled my hand, and we started walking, my hand in his, and my mesmerized gaze fixed behind us. Asieh's white dress, in contrast with the orange warmth of the sun, felt cool, and her slender figure wrapped in a veil was like the first spring blossoms, full of the fragrance of youth. From the bus, the young driver's assistant handed the porter 2 green boxes I recognized. Asieh's dowry. We then turned towards the street the movie theater was on. On our leisurely return, we passed through the main streets, ate some cool watermelon, and got home after midnight. Agajan had deliberately delayed our return so that my mother would scold him and they would reconcile. The issue dated back a few days. Until then, my mother had long hair. That day, after being away for a few hours, she returned with short hair and went to Agajan. A few minutes later, Agajan's voice rose. "Monsieur Léon? You always went to Madame, that scoundrel!" And from that day, they were cold to each other. Monsieur Léon, an Armenian who was very devoted to Agajan and would bow deeply in front of him, owned the best hair salon in town. The Armenians, a small Christian minority in the city, were engaged in professions like jewelry, hairdressing, or truck driving, and their elders were addressed as Monsieur and Madame. The next day, my mother, with her à la garçon hairstyle, a new fashion trend that Monsieur Léon was popularizing in the city, and her black and white dress, looked so beautiful that I stared at her for a while. Then I ran and took out the red tulip flowers I had made from my craft bag, tucked them into my hair, looked pleased in the mirror, and said, "Now Mama will be proud of me too." Then, hand in hand, hoping my classmates would see us, I first took her to the city square and from there to the ladies' party. In these gatherings, which Agajan jokingly called hen parties, children usually did not participate, unless for special reasons. My reason for attending was that if I stayed home, I would disturb the older children's summary writing and logic lessons. A week after the primary exams, Agajan would assign summer tasks for each of us. The first year was a summary of Sans Famille, and the next year was Les Misérables. Then came Crime and Punishment and logic lessons. After logic lessons, the boys would apprentice in the carpentry shop at the end of the street, and the girls would learn embroidery or sewing. My mother was not happy with this planning and believed that after a year of hard work in school, the children needed recreation. Agajan would say, "Reading is recreation." One day, after an argument with Agajan, my mother shouted that if reading was a recreation, it was time for him to give up his never-ending hobby and spend more time with his family. That was the first time I participated in a ladies' party, and two things caught my attention. One was the ladies' terrible and strange ailments, and the other was that none of them ate anything for pleasure. They only accepted food when it became necessary and unavoidable. As soon as we arrived, Mrs. Mehri offered large, cool glasses of refreshments and said, "Drink up! You must be parched from the heat." Immediately, the long silver spoons stirred and the glasses were emptied. My mother asked about Mrs. Belkhis's health, and Mrs. Mehri offered the sweet dish, saying, "We made sure you had plenty of drinks. Now enjoy some sweets." Mrs. Belkhis took 2 or 3 sweets, sighed deeply, and said, "Oh, sister, my headache starts near noon and lasts until night. It's as if they pound a hammer on my temples." This was Mrs. Belkhis's summer ailment. In winter, they would sweep a wet broom over her back. Mrs. Ruha, who had lost the appetite for the sweets and now craved something savory, filled her plate with nuts and said, "Don't talk about headaches." She touched the top of her head. "See here? It's as if they've put a drill and want to bore a hole." I became distraught. Mrs. Mehri urged the ladies to drink cherry tea, which would quench their thirst. The ladies all complied. Mrs. Cobra, like the rest, who had to eat something hard after cherry tea to avoid drawing in all the water, filled her plate with sweets and said, "I wish my pains were just typical like yours. Poor me. As soon as I go to bed, the soles of my feet start burning. It's as if they've put a brazier underneath and want to grill them. I endure it for a while, then think maybe I've overeaten food with a hot nature. I go to the fridge and eat a slice or 2 of watermelon and return. After a while, my stomach starts to ache, and I realize I've overeaten food with a cold nature. I have to get up again and drink nabotedach, crystallized sugar, tossing and turning until morning." We ate nuts again, and Mrs. Sarah described her bone pain, explaining how it felt like being sawed apart. Then we refreshed with fruit, and this time the wife of the colonel complained about her intestinal pain. She was in such agony that she wished to pierce her navel and pull out her intestines. Finally, Mrs. Mehri offered raspberries as they were bile-reducing, and my mother lamented her insomnia. "From night till morning, I can't sleep even for an hour." Agajan complained about my mother's snoring, saying, "From the moment she lays her head on the pillow until she opens her eyes in the morning, it never stops." On the way back, we saw Asieh's mother returning from the cemetery. She didn't socialize with anyone and went to the cemetery every day after lunch, summer and winter, regardless of the weather or holidays. People said she brought back a piece of it each time, to the point that their house had become like a cemetery. That night, I had no appetite and didn't eat dinner. My mother was worried and took my temperature. Agajan said she probably overate at Mrs. Mehri's house. My mother wasn't surprised by Agajan's indifference, as she believed he only troubled himself with his books, and he paid no attention to other matters. Perhaps to prove her point, the following month when she returned from the salon, she said Madame Léon had cut her hair. Agajan thought she looked even more beautiful than before. After this incident, all the ladies in the circle jokingly started calling the poor Monsieur Léon Madame Léon. Asieh's father, a cultured man who was fond of reading, sometimes visited Agajan for discussions and chess games. Those days, everyone was talking about his daughter. Some said she had brought shame to her family because a daughter should go to her husband's house in a wedding dress and leave in a shroud. Others believed her wearing the wedding dress upon her return meant that the wedding dress was her shroud. The ladies thought Asieh meant that she had returned the same way she had left, concluding that if this guess was true, such a marriage was not even blessed by God. Mrs. Sarah blamed Asieh's brother for the marriage, and Mrs. Ruha had a different opinion. The gossip was rampant. A few weeks later, my mother went to Asieh's house at her father's request to advise her, and returned late at night. Agajan was very worried and paced constantly. Those days, the city was chaotic, and men and women, old and young, were taken away for no reason or for the slightest excuse and disappeared. A few days later, Aliaha, known as Ali the Dwarf, was killed in a demonstration, and Agajan realized I had memorized the entirety of Robin Hood. That same day, he brought out Sans Famille and ordered me to summarize it. Despite this, in the afternoons, while my sister and I waited at the door for the ice cream vendor, we played Robin Hood. One of those afternoons, suddenly, several gendarmes with machine guns broke into our neighbor's house and brutally took away their 2 young sons. Their mother ran after the car, wailing and hitting herself until she collapsed. Neighbors gathered and splashed water on her face. That night, the locals found the bodies of the 2 boys a few streets down and returned them to their parents. Agajan burned a large number of newspapers, pamphlets, and books, including Robin Hood, in the yard. The fire's heat was so intense that it burned the garden's petunias. I didn't eat for 3 days until my father summoned me and, while comforting me, said, "Your suffering is a result of the echoed suffering of those around you. This experience will help you better understand human attachments." Then he caressed me and continued, "Go and be grateful. They lost the essence of their lives and the apple of their eyes. You only lost a book." In a short time, most of the city's gardens were burned and turned to ashes. My father insisted that we not talk about burning the books to anyone, especially to the colonel's wife, as her husband's understanding of religion, humanity, and ethics was completely different from his. The colonel was a devout, hard-hearted, and suspicious man with a natural inclination for inquisition. We later heard he was responsible for the arrest and torture of many young people. The other ladies were also very cautious in their conversations, only talking about the deceased and their qualities. Indeed, they were united in heart and voice in respecting the deceased. Among their discussions was the story of Ali the Dwarf, who grew so much in a few weeks that he was no longer called a dwarf and couldn't pass through a regular doorframe. Then dozens of others, known and unknown, with decayed bodies, swollen and unrecognizable faces, dead bodies pulled from the ground with crushed bones. There were stories of the rape of virgin girls, the hanging of young women, orphaned and homeless children. And finally, the Masumi family, a young couple who were brutally burned like 2 torches at night. After hearing this, my mother, for a long time, would suddenly jump up, no matter day or night, and loudly repeat, "Their name was Masumi, innocent, and they left innocently." This story filled the other ladies' hearts with pains, and they eagerly searched for the living, bringing up Asieh's story again. It was said that she was involved with a local shopkeeper's son, and they were seen together. I, who watched the alley through the keyhole in the afternoons, saw Asieh rushing by. Those days, she wore a white silk scarf on her shoulder, a gift from the boy. Mrs. Belris said, "She's blossomed. She's become a woman." And Mrs. Cobra was sure the scarf would bring separation. My mother, who went to advise her, said Asieh had no regard for her parents' feelings. She said, "As soon as I mentioned marriage again, she started vomiting." Mrs. Mary, a teacher who had known Asieh since childhood, believed she was pretending to be indifferent. She recounted an incident from years ago, saying, "One late night, Asieh's father came saying she hadn't returned from school. It was cold and snowing. After searching for a while, we found her frozen body a few streets down near dawn. The child burned with fever for 3 days and nights, muttering deliriously, clutching something in her fist. I tried to open her hand a couple of times, but each time she screamed, 'My mother's star! My mother's star!' The first day she felt better and regained consciousness, she opened her hand and threw away the broken glass she had hidden there. Mrs. Mary had investigated out of curiosity and found out that children would find a broken glass, read a verse, blow on it, and place it in Asieh's hand, promising that if she stood still for 24 hours without moving and kept it clenched, the glass would turn into a magical star, fulfilling all her wishes. Mrs. Mary said that after this incident, Asieh changed and withdrew from others. The lady's apparent denial of events and focus on mundane matters did not stop the progression of death and hardships. Food was scarce and hard to find, and martial law was in effect. In front of an indifferent world, Baha'is, Baha'u'llah's followers, were killed, and the youth were slaughtered. Jewish properties were looted, and Armenians were not spared any insult or humiliation. Time, the advanced time, mockingly or vengefully, regressed centuries, returning to an era of barbarity where women and orphaned children fled to the mountains and forests. Everywhere you looked, the walls, the ground, the sky, friends and foes alike, those who shared pain and language, all were mourning the cruel acts of those who had hijacked a religion. The city's days were steeped in a mourning that marked the death of humanity. Then days stretched into weeks, and weeks into months, hard, agonizing, slow months. An unparalleled slowness, an infinite slowness, a historical slowness. Throughout this time, my mother, like other mothers, kept the faint flame of hope alive in the family through prayers, and Asieh survived on 1 egg a day brought to her by her boyfriend. One day, after a long time, I heard my mother say to Agajan, "It's tradition to gift watches to son-in-laws." My father looked into her eyes and replied, "I for sure haven't gotten any watches, have I?" Both of them smiled a tired smile. The sun had just risen, and the scent of life wafted from the soft, moist soil of the garden. That very afternoon, all of us, along with my sister and her fiancé, went to the jewelry store of Monsieur Vartan. To our surprise, we found Asieh's fiancé there, busy choosing a watch and a ring with the owner of the decorative and kitchenware shop and his daughter. Monsieur Vartan, in his youth, had written poems in his mother tongue about Tigran, the great and legendary Armenian commander, and out of humility or fear of being misunderstood, never showed them to anyone. Usually, after a glass or two of wine, he would lament about the cruelty of the times that had forced him to abandon his dreams and aspirations, to give up poetry for jewelry making. Because of these complaints, he was known as the heartbroken jeweler and considered himself different than the people on the street. After dealing with his customers, he carefully counted the money again and put it in the safe next to his book of poems. He shook his head in disdain and said, "Like attracts like in the world of business." My father immediately cut the conversation short and said, "Anyway, we wish them all the best." My mother, who, like before, held special regard for the significant events of life, which she believed were limited to birth, marriage, and death, spared no effort in preparations and was so busy with the rituals and customs of this marriage that she didn't even have time to participate in the ladies' gatherings that had recently resumed. Finally, the day of my sister's wedding arrived. All the women of the family, consisting of my mother, the groom's mother, aunts, and their daughters, plus other female cousins from both sides, and a few of my sister's close friends, at the groom's expense, together with the bride, took over Monsieur Léon's beauty salon. The curly-haired women straightened their hair, and those with straight hair got it curled. The blondes returned to black hair, and the black hair returned to blonde. So much so that after the work was done, their appearances had unbelievably changed, making it difficult to recognize each one. Finally, Monsieur Léon, pleased and energetic, escorted us to the sidewalk. In the midst of the noise and chaos of allocating seats in the car, my mother suddenly noticed Asieh, who was indifferently passing by on the other side of the street, looking ridiculously bulky, and asked Monsieur Léon in surprise, "Why has she worn so many skirts?" Monsieur Léon sighed, shook his head in pity, and replied, "She wants to look like her rival." Before such a sighting could cloud the best day of my sister's life, my mother hurried us along and asked those who had noticed Asieh not to mention it. A few months later, Asieh's rival also got married. Mrs. Ruha, who had a keen interest in examining girls' dowries and always found a way to be present at these ceremonies, was captivated by the variety and number of kitchen items of the bride and talked about her pride and the satisfaction of the groom's family. She swore that she had personally witnessed the groom placing 30 pots on the shelves. I remember that sad day. The weather was cold, the horizon narrow, and the sunset had stained the sky with blood. Later, we heard that night, Asieh had moaned until morning, "I don't want to be alone." She had repeatedly said, "I don't want to be alone," and cried bitterly, "I don't want to be alone." After that night, she took off the extra skirts and was rarely seen. For a long time, the ladies talked about Asieh, her family, her brother, and even her crazy aunts. The wife of the colonel had reliable information that one of her brother's promiscuous friends, out of jealousy, had cast a spell on Asieh and bewitched her. Mrs. Mehri, who was a teacher, believed in fate, but dismissed magic and charms as nonsense. My mother used to say, "The book of everyone's destiny is written on their forehead from the day of eternity and is unchangeable." And Mrs. Ruha, who despite all her cunning, had not managed to see Asieh's dowry, was not ready to give up hope and believed that fate would eventually knock on Asieh's door. In short, everyone was curiously waiting for Asieh's fate as time passed. Time passed. The young got married, the old died, and the ladies of the gatherings became grandmothers. This new love and a gradual hidden awareness, although Asieh's fate was to wait, gradually compelled the ladies not to talk about her, and other good and bad events that gave meaning to life replaced the talk about Asieh. I too, after all the summaries and logic lessons, left my hometown. Before I left, I saw Asieh for the last time in a haberdashery, buying embroidery thread. That was the first time I realized the cruelty of time. It seemed as if the freshness and beauty she once had never belonged to her. Despite this, she appeared unambitious and resigned, perhaps because she had forever stepped out of the stream of life. Years later, I had to return to my hometown, walking as a stranger in the familiar streets. Remembering that unforgettable day of paper flowers, I went to the town square. The square was in ruins, the streets were in ruins, and the houses were in ruins. Sorrow cried out from the depths of my being. Where is my mother? Where is my mother? Where are Mrs. Cobra, Mrs. Mary, and Mrs. Ruha? Where are Monsieur Léon and Monsieur Vartan? Buried under the ground? In the sky? Or only in my memories? Does the ice cream vendor still pass through the streets? Do they still plant petunias in the gardens? Lonely and nostalgic, I wandered from the bustling streets to the alleys, and from the alleys to the streets. I walked for hours. No familiar gaze, no familiar face. The past was dead. Disappointed and disillusioned, I entered the new museum building, and in the Hall of Paintings, I was captivated by a picture. A colored egg, suspended in a background containing all the colors of the sky, from light blue to dark gray. The colored egg itself was a mix of red, white, yellow, and black colors, sometimes blending together, sometimes standing alone. The simplicity of the design, the beauty of the colors, and above all, the mysterious and expressive power that could establish a connection with the viewer fascinated me. The work of an Armenian artist, this symbolizes the second coming, and the colored egg signifies Easter. I approached it and realized it was not a painting, but a very delicate embroidery with silk thread on silk fabric, and on the plaque below it was engraved, Mrs. Asieh. I stood there in wonder. The interpretation of this choice seemed as difficult to me as the novel, and the delicate way life had laid out self-repetition for Asieh. Searching for the secret of this appeal that emanated from a seemingly simple and childish design, I focused. Throughout the painting, a pattern in different colors, like Asieh's countless and uneventful days, was repeated. A pattern of a word which gradually came to life and resonated like a call in the viewer's being. It was the desire of Asieh's heart, engraving itself in the viewer's heart and eyes. Was this painting Asieh's memories or the essence of her desires? The answer to this question seemed unimportant to me, because, after all, it had brought back the delicate emotions of youth to me. The past rejoined me, more alive than ever, passing before my eyes. The life of my mother, the ladies of the gatherings, the city's residents, and the neighbor woman's wailing over the graves of her young sons, all condensed into one meaning. The meaning of the word that Asieh had embroidered all the days of her life, a word which I involuntarily repeated out loud. Compassion, compassion, compassion.